Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is a magic vlog, okay? Everything devoted to magic is on this vlog. The other element that I've brought to the table on a few occasions is being an entrepreneur, what it's like to be an entrepreneur. In my mind, a magician is an entrepreneur. A professional magician, somebody who's out there making a living doing this. He's an entrepreneur. She is an entrepreneur. And so from time to time, I bring on a guest who is a successful entrepreneur, but he or she may or may not be a magician. And the reason I do that is because, in my thinking, it requires the same discipline to be a success as a self-employed entrepreneur, no matter what the specific area of focus that you might have. And so I think that what people have to say when they're successful has applicability to those of us who are trying to make a living in the magic business. So from time to time I'll bring people on to discuss that. But today I want to do something entirely different, kind of off the grid a little bit. I have many passions. Magic is probably my primary passion. I mean, it's way up there. I've been doing magic since I was 8 years old. And I love magic, but I have another passion, and that is writing. I have been a writer for almost as long as I've been doing magic. I have fantasized about being a published author. My passion is fiction, but I got to tell you, I have a nonfiction book that is this close to finished. It's going to be my first nonfiction, and once I get it out there, I'm going to release a whole mess of nonfiction books. So I'm going to be bringing those to you because I think they're going to be relevant to this particular channel. So I'm going to bring those to you once they're out. But I have 2 novels published that you probably didn't know about. And I want to tell you about them and tell you the story behind them. And, if you want to read them, I have some copies here. But they're also available on Amazon, and I have an author page on Amazon. Please check that out. In fact, I'll try to put the link down below so you can see it. But at this point, I have 2 novels published. This right here is my first novel. It's called The Mentor's Gift. It was published in 2006. I worked on this book for 3 years. And I mean solid for 3 years. I would come home from work, and I would sit down at my computer and I would write. And I would write for at least an hour, sometimes 2 or 3 hours I would write. On the weekends, I would write. And then I sent it to be edited, and it was edited, and I rewrote it. Then it was re-edited, and I rewrote it again. And it was a lengthy process. I sent the manuscript to no fewer than 50 publishers. And here's the amazing thing. All 50 publishers responded to me. Some of them said no. It was just a flat rejection. Some of them, but many of them, I'd say that probably of the 50 publishers I sent this manuscript to, probably 15 of them came back and said, we're interested in the story, but here are the changes we need you to make if you want us to publish it. Now, the story involves a female magician who is a rising star in the magic business. And she falls in love with a California winemaker. And along the road, she has to make some really tough decisions. And, I'm exploring a lot of different things in the book, obviously. I mean, my passions come to bear. Let me tell you a little bit about my values as an author in terms of fiction. And some of you guys are going to be like, oh, man, you got to be kidding me. No, I'm not kidding you. I have really, as far as reading, and I read everything. I read it all. But I am most attracted to what you would call sweet romance. sweet romance is devoid of eroticism. You know, there's in romance today, there's a lot of eroticism. If you want to know what sweet romance is, watch the Hallmark Channel. I do, by the way. I watch the Hallmark Channel. One of the things I love about Hallmark, first of all, you're basically seeing the same story. Because a romance is a romance is a romance, right? It involves one person meeting another person, they fall in love, and typically there's some obstacles in the way that they have to resolve it. So the story in a sweet romance focuses on the obstacles that are getting in the way of their happiness together and how they resolve those obstacles. And if you watch the Hallmark Channel, it follows basic, every film, every romantic story follows basically the same pattern, because sweet romance is what it is. I mean, people that respond to that genre do so because of the formula. They like the predictability of that formula. What's different from film to film is the chemistry between the two lead actors or the two lead characters, and the different conflicts that they have, and the different ways in which they resolve their obstacles. That's what makes the films different from each other. And so this novel follows much the same pattern of the traditional sweet romance. Where this really departs, and where a lot of sweet romance novel publishers had difficulty with it, is the magical elements that I brought to it, and some of the other elements as well that are in here. So it's not strictly a traditional sweet romance, and there's a lot of magic in it, folks. I mean, if you like magic and you like romance, this might be a good fit for you. Another distinguishing feature, I mean, take a look at that cover. Amy, who is the lead character, Amy Alexander, she's a goth. I mean, she is 100% goth. And that was an important element to me in this book. She had to be a goth. And I had a lot of publishers saying, you know what, I like the story. I like what you brought to it, but she can't be goth. I'm like, why? You know, she's goth. Now, when I write, you folks, and this might sound a little strange, but when I write, the characters present themselves to me, and I write their story as they relay it to me. I know that sounds a little far out there, but that's how I write. And she's a goth. And one of the things I wanted to do with this book specifically was market this book to the Gothic community. By the way, this book was reviewed in Dark Realms magazine and in Gothic Beauty magazine. Dark Realms gave it a great review. I happen to know the publisher pretty well, and so he gave it a great review. Gothic Beauty, I had to bend their arm to get them to review the book. They finally reviewed it, and they didn't like it that much. Probably because of the sweet romantic elements in it. Also because she didn't go to some of the traditional places that goths go. I did not write a goth club scene into the book, and so they didn't like that very much. But for the most part, it was reviewed pretty well. Now, it didn't sell very well. You know, one of the things that frustrates me is my ability to market and sell. You'd think a guy, now I've been a salesperson. I was a salesperson for a leasing company. I was a salesperson for an auto parts supply company. You'd think a guy that has some background in sales and marketing would know how to sell and market. But you know what? I just, if you guys know the answer, let me know. I have difficulty with my magic business. I have difficulty with my writing. I need some answers. But let me go back to The Mentor's Gift. So this is my first novel. I worked on it for 3 years. It's published in 2006. I will never forget the experience of seeing when the publisher sent me the proof of the cover. And I looked at this cover for the very first time. It was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. I mean, can you imagine wanting to be a novelist from the time you're old enough to write, to finally holding the proof in your hand and seeing tangible evidence that your book is about to be published? Oh, it was a moving experience. It was an experience I will never forget. And you know, it's the first. Anytime you have a first experience, it's something that your heart is deeply devoted to. I mean, cherish that moment. And I did. I remember sitting at my computer, just taking that moment in. And it is indelibly imprinted on my mind. I will never forget opening up that attachment and seeing that image. And look at that cover. I still think that is one of the great covers. Whoever designed it, and it wasn't me, it was somebody at the publishing, whoever designed it was just brilliant. I love the red and against the black, and it's so gothic, and the white. I mean, it's and the actress that they got, wherever they picked up that image, I just saw it and thought, that is absolutely perfect. And so, folks, The Mentor's Gift is my first novel. Once again, it's available on Amazon.com. It's also available from me personally. If you're interested and you want to get it from me, by all means do that. And then a few years later, now I started working on this novel almost immediately after The Mentor's Gift was published. You know, I wanted to focus on The Mentor's Gift, and I wanted to get that done, and I did. So I really didn't work on other projects, but as soon as it was finished, this is 2006, I started working on this novel. Now this novel suffered from a number of things. First of all, it's 100,000 words. And for a sweet romance, that's a little heavy. I mean, you want something around 70,000 for a sweet romance, something a little short. You can see that the difference in these two books here in terms of their size, their sheer volume. Also, I departed from a number of standards in the genre. And so I thought, well, you know, that's why this novel wasn't really picked up by a major publisher. So I thought, you know what, my second novel, I'm going to stick to the pattern a little closer. I'm going to write exactly the number of words that they want, exactly the kind of characters that appeals to them. I wasn't specifically writing a novel to formula. I mean, I just don't do that, but the formula is so indelibly impressed in my head because I see so much of it, I read so much of it, that it's very natural to me to write in that formula. But I wanted this novel to be a little more marketable. First of all, Christmas romances are, you know, they're very popular, especially in the fall season. We're in the fall season now. It's a Christmas romance. It's called The Christmas Garden. And the influences on this book, growing up, my dad loved trains. My brother is an avid Lionel collector. But there was another element that I wanted to bring to this story. My aunt, Eleanor Pfeiffer, has hosted Christmas Eve for the entire family for, I'm thinking, 65 years. She was hosting Christmas Eve before I was born. I was born in 1960. And she continues to host Christmas Eve. She is going to be turning, well, I'm not going to reveal her age. I'm not going to do that. Let's put it this way, though. She's older than me. And she's continuing to host. Now, I just talked to her over the weekend, and we're both very concerned about COVID-19. We're concerned about how that's going to impact the holiday season and family gatherings. But what I said to her wasn't, you know, you're going to find, I'm going to do some other presentations. I'm going to talk about this in some other videos. But I'm a very conservative person when it comes to health and well-being. I'm very concerned about our cultures. I mean, I understand that people want to get back to normal. I want to get back to normal. I mean, here I am. I've resigned from my day job as an HR director. I am full-time now as an entrepreneur, and I cannot go out and speak. I cannot make presentations as an HR consultant. I can't do that because it's not being done. I can't go out and do. I could now. Let me tell you something. I've gotten offers to do magic shows. People will say, "Oh, we're only having 25 people." 25 people in a living room. You cannot socially distance if you put 25 people in a living room. I think we're dealing with a deadly pandemic. Think about that. You don't get a second shot. I will tell you that people I worked with at the company that I just resigned from, we're having issues. We do health care. We're having issues with it. Okay, so I have concerns, and I said to Eleanor, maybe we shouldn't do it this year, you know. I mean, she has done it every year for the last 60 to 65 years, and I'm saying to her, maybe not. That's really tough to do. But the reason I share that with you is the story. The main character, whose name is Allie Chandler, works for a company that specializes in business acquisitions. She lives in San Diego, and her company sends her to Baltimore because they've acquired a company, and it's kind of a hostile takeover. The hero's mother works at this company and invites her back to celebrate the holidays with the family because Allie's company asked her to do this over the holiday season. So Allie gets invited to celebrate Christmas Eve at the hero's mother's home. The hero, by the way, his name is Chris. And she goes to celebrate Christmas Eve with this family, and all of the traditions that you see portrayed in this book, all of the traditions that Allie experiences for the first time, are the experiences that I had growing up and that I continue to have as a result of my Aunt Eleanor's efforts on our behalf as a family. And I wanted to create something that would memorialize those traditions. And so I wrote them into the story. Now, I didn't necessarily write the story for that reason, but since it was a Christmas story, I wanted to include those elements, and so I did. And this book was published in 2017. There was a lot going on in the family that I want to tell you about a little bit. The book was published in 2017. In 2015, my mother passed away. And my dad, he had been declining prior to 2015. But in the spring, actually it was in the late winter, early spring of 2017, my dad had a stroke, and it accelerated the dementia that was already taking a serious toll. And the doctors told me in the hospital, they said he cannot go home. You have to find a place where he will receive 24/7 care. Folks, this happens to a lot of families, and I suggest that you prepare for it, because what you don't want to have happen is for a doctor in a hospital to tell you that your parent cannot go home. You're at the mercy of whatever placement you can get at that point. You need to be proactive, and fortunately, we were proactive, and we had a couple of options lined up, and he is in an excellent facility, not 2-3 miles from where I am right now, and I'm able to check on him, and I am his primary caregiver, so I take good care of him. This happened in 2017, and I wanted to do something special for my aunt that year. So I made sure that this book got published in time for the Christmas season 2017. I presented it to my Aunt Eleanor Christmas Eve. She read it Christmas week, and it meant a lot to her. And that meant a lot to me. So this book has huge personal connections. So both of my books, both of my novels are extremely personal, extremely relevant to me and to my family. Again, this one is available on Amazon.com. You can also get these from me. I mean, the reason you might want to get a book from me, and I'm not, I'm not a great author by any means. I'm not famous or anything like that. But if you want me to personalize the book for you, then by all means reach out to me and let me know that you want to do that, and I'd be happy to do that for you. So that's the only reason why you might. Otherwise, you can pick these up at Amazon if you want to, or not at all. It's okay. Because I gotta tell you, you guys are magicians, you gals also. You're magicians, and romance might not be your thing. I don't blame you. But I'll tell you what, if you give these a chance, especially if you're a magician, especially this one, The Mentor's Gift. And if you like a little touch of supernatural, I mean, there's a little bit of it in, if you watch the Christmas movies, there's always something a little magical that takes place. So that they both have certainly the influence of a magician on both of them. So those are my books to date, folks. I have a nonfiction that is this close. I got to tell you, I'm still working on the first draft. I expect to have the first draft done in the next couple of weeks. Then it'll go off to an editor. The editor will mess with it for a few more weeks, send it back to me. I'll clean it up based on the editor's comments. We might have it edited again, and then it'll start going to publishers. So I don't know where we are in terms of publishing that first nonfiction. I'm hoping the next 2 to 3 months we'll see that book coming out. I don't know that that's going to happen, but that's my goal. So when it does, I'll let you know about it. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. I know this is a magic vlog and you're tuning in to see magic, and I hope you don't mind this little detour. But I wanted to sort of let you know that, hey, I have other interests, and if you share some of this stuff, then please reach out, talk to me. Please comment down below. I love your comments. Tell me what you think of Sweet Romance. I'd love to hear about it. Tell me what you think of magic. Subscribe, comment down below. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. Have a great day.